Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Ian. Ian's bomb drop was April 24th of 2022, and he has a date of marriage of 1991. His MLCer still lives at home, and he's not yet familiar with energy level terms. He says, I was diagnosed with leukemia in 2019. I'm so sorry. I hope things are going better. He says she started changing then. We moved to a smaller house to cope. Our youngest daughter left 3 weeks. Does it mean ago? Because it says left 3 weeks to go to college before bomb drop. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So 3 weeks before bomb drop, she left to go to college. So in the spring, your oldest daughter left for college. My wife started listening to different music. That has been something that has been noted, that you can pinpoint by the different changes in the playlists, I think they've said. And the music often goes back to music that either might be what the kids are listening to now at the age range that they're regressing to, or what they were listening to at that age. I don't know if that's just one of those, or it depends on the person, and it could be either. But I think there's been studies on that. There's been no change in drinking, no drugs. There were some new friends at the beginning of bomb drop, but they're not there now. I've changed my hours at work because at bomb drop, she said I work too much. I like all of this, actually. You're doing some changes that are healthy. I've changed that. I'm more at home. I asked her to teach me how to cook before she leaves me. I do want to know how you phrased that, because did it come off saying, as a little whiny or victim-y? Or because rather than just asking her to teach me how to cook. And that would be a way of bonding and spending time together. Every night at 6 o'clock, she's waiting at the door for me. She watches TikTok all day. There was an emotional affair at the beginning, however, she broke it off because she had her doubts. She stays at home every night. We watch movies together. I sleep in the spare room. Did that start with bomb drop? How long has that been going on? Every morning she goes to work. She comes and gives me a kiss. So does she leave the house for work? Because you said she watches TikTok all day. So at first that sounded like she was home, like either she works from home or she, I don't want to say jobless. That's not right. But she is a stay-at-home mother, although your daughter, at least one, has gone to college. So I wasn't sure about that. She comes and gives me a kiss. She has fallen out with her parents about their controlling behavior. I have plenty of friends. However, I feel bad if I go out because I know she wants me around. What do I do this year? So in other words, how do I handle what's happening and the MLC as it progresses? So there are times you're going to need to go out just because for your own health. But she's very needy. Right now, a clinging boomerang. And that's not a bad thing as long as you can handle that. Clinging boomerangs. She's also probably a low-energy wallower. So she's at home. And so sometimes, especially with women, we don't always say, that's why I say on contact type, there's at home and then clinging boomerang, vanisher, and off and on. But an at home is either a boomerang or a clinging boomerang, because if you have contact, you're at least a boomerang. But we do classify it often as just plain at home, although if they are clinging boomerang, maybe I should start calling them clinging at homes. But with women, even more than men, but either. When they move out, they can change that contact type, and women are more likely than men to be distant contactors overall. And that happens even when they move out. Right now, though, she is not acting that way. There's one I'm particular thinking of, and it's not an abnormal one. It's just from one of my moderators, and they were in the same house until the divorce was finalized because he refused to leave. And no, I'm standing for my marriage, blah, blah, blah. And when the divorce came and he had to move out because she got the house. I don't know if they got to split it and sell it. He bought her out, but I know she stayed and he left. But it seems like that whole time, and it was a few years, I believe she might have moved to a different area of the house, like basement, attic type of thing. I've seen a few of them do that, or at least spare rooms. But it felt like a different area and very, very emotionally distant the whole time. Even though you classify it as, that's one reason we classify at home, because the emotional distance was there. And once they were not in the same household, she probably was a became more distant of a contactor. And that isn't as uncommon with women as it is, women and male seers as it is with men. But she's showing more interactions with you. She wants you around, whereas in that case, her greatest desire was for him to not be there, but he wouldn't leave. So I really want you being there supporting her, and talk to her about not how she's not meeting your needs, but how about, you know what, I really need to go out and spend some time with a few friends. I've got some plans on this night. Does she want to join you? If it's something that's not just a guy's night, because she needs reassurance. She needs reassurance that you're going to be there, that you're going to come home. That does she even need you to call her while you're out? Some of it could be also fears about, she had an emotional affair. She was doing this. Are you going to do it? And now, are you going to do it means, if I say it that way, is he going to do it to me? I did it to him. The other way of thinking it is, the fear is it going to happen to you? So one of those is, are you going to do this to me? Is, in her mind, that would be intentional on your part, like it was a revenge. If it's going to happen to you, she would recognize that you would be a passive and not able to control it. But either one is frightening for her. So she needs to know that you personally are stable, emotionally, mentally, physically, all stability, that you're there for her. And part of being there for her is putting the oxygen mask on yourself. And that is when it means that you have plenty of friends. I feel bad if I go out because she wants me around. Don't do it often. And would it be bad or good if it was, first, make sure it's scheduled ahead of time so she knows it's coming. And is it better or worse to have it regular? Like if it were every Friday, or if it were every first Friday of the month, because maybe every Friday would be too much. But if she were to know that that day was that, then it would not just be an expectation, but it's scheduled in. And she might not be somebody that helped, that was helpful by that, or maybe that would frighten her. But that's something to think about. First, make sure that you're not going out last minute. Have it planned, have it discussed with her, and discuss it in a reassuring manner. What do you do this year? You take care of you. You've got to. She's there. She hasn't gone away. I love that you've asked her to teach you to cook, because that can be, instead of thinking I'm going to need this, my wife's leaving me, it's a bonding experience. I love that we watch movies together. You sleep in a spare room. It is something to discuss coming back into that room, and be gentle with it. It doesn't have to be about sex. It can just be about being in the same room, being in the same bed, being in the comfort of your own bed, or not being alone sometimes. I mean, you don't always have to be doing things, maybe, or, not even cuddling sometimes, or maybe it's just comforting to have another person in there. That's not my 5-year-old Elijah. I mean, he comes in and snuggles right there, and that's nice, but I want Chuck. And so it's nice to have your spouse, even if they're not doing anything other than sleeping. There's a comfort in knowing that they're there. She wants you around as a protective force as well. And so sleeping in the spare room is something that is, and I wouldn't say this if you were talking about it, should I leave rooms? I'd just say no. But it's already happened. And so there's a precedent set. So now you need to do some more to get back in there. But I would see if you can, and recognize none of this means that any midlife crisis is over. She is a low-energy wallower. You weren't familiar with those terms. She right now seems to be a low-energy wallower. Low-energy wallowers in the beginning, and not all of them, but often, start out appearing high energy, but they fail at it. It's a lot more fun to be out there living the bachelor party lifestyle, the 17-year-old, I'm just going to, not care and be a limerence for somebody else. That's fun. It's a high. And so, of course, they're going to try that, but they fail at it. Those who are, and I'm not saying that if a person fails at it, that means they become a low energy wallower. That might be. But I think somebody who is probably more likely to be a low energy wallower already, it's just masked because of this initial period where they were going to fail anyway. And women are more likely to be low energy wallowers than men. That doesn't mean that more women, that women as a group, more of them are low energy, but they are more likely to than men. It is common. So your job is to take care of yourself. You make sure you do that because you have an at-home MLCer, and that drains the energy from your own healing, from your own self-care. And so you need to take care. When she gets needy, sometimes you have to say, you know what? I just need to go for a walk. And sometimes it can be, would you like to join me? And sometimes it can be, I just need to take Fido out, if you have a Fido, but I need some solitude. I just needed to be alone for a little while. And sometimes that could be going into your man cave or going downstairs where you can be alone. Sometimes it's just alone time. Sometimes it's going out with your friends. But I want you to focus on all of that while reassuring her. Reassurance is very important for the MLCer, especially one who's a clinging boomerang, when you're standing for your marriage. Whenever you approach a difficulty, a challenge, something if you're going to give a truth dart that might hurt, or a tough subject, or if you're going to have a vent, in other words, it's kind of like an argument, but you know about it ahead of time. You start out with a reassurance. And if you can bookend it, you end with a reassurance, but if things go off the rails too much, you can't always do that. But a reassurance is, I'm always here for you, or I always love you, I always care for you, or praise to them, you are a great blah, blah, blah. Reassure them about you being there and about their worth as a person, about their value, about how great a person they are, because they don't believe in themselves. She's feeling depressed. She's feeling down. And your diagnosis of leukemia, in fact, the question I got right after you that I got from somebody else that I just read and haven't figured the answer for it, I've just reviewed it, was very similar. It's a breast cancer one. So we've got two of you who had, before bomb drop, quite a bit before bomb drop, there was a cancer scare with the now left behind spouse. But bomb drop wasn't soon after, but a couple of years. What kind of trigger is that? We say that an MLC trigger is 12 to 36 months. But with the cancer, it could probably, that the real where it hits you might not hit you at the diagnosis. Maybe it hits you at a certain point in your cancer experience, because that is scary. She thinks you're not going to be around, or she thought you weren't going to be around. And she had to face her own mortality, but she had to face your mortality of being without her partner. So part of it is like, well, I'm not going to be with him. I have to find something. It's very scary. I'm going to be all alone in this world. I have to prove that I won't. What's going to happen to me? I have to prove that I can survive. And I don't think I could ever find somebody else. I don't want to be alone, but I don't know how to not be. I don't know how to date. I don't know how to do all that. I have to prove, because nobody else would be attracted to me. I mean, my husband Chuck told me, well, you don't count that you're attracted to me. It's kind of like, you're my mother type. It's your mother's supposed to love everyone. I'm like, I'm not your mom. I'm your wife. I'm also the younger woman. It was creepy, honestly. But we do fall into those patterns with each other where I'm supposed to love you, so it doesn't count. But it does. It does. And understand the fear that she felt with that. Yeah, you felt it. You felt it in a different way. And so she needs a lot of reassurance with all of those things. And then you've got to work on yourself. Just take some time. But when you do it, you reassure her. It's not because I'm leaving you. You're my dream girl. But I just need some space for myself sometimes. I've got to think. I'm going to go write poetry. I'm going to go walk the dog and just sit down for a while, out in the woods, whatever it is. And reassure, and then I'll be back and I'll be fine. I'm okay. It's not because I'm depressed. It's just like needing space is normal. Okay. Let me know if you have any more questions if I didn't answer completely. And I will see everybody in the next question.